You got a point.
There are games that scare you because they want to scare you. And then there's Ready or Not, a game that terrifies you simply by refusing to tell you that everything's going to be okay. You're not some superhero operator. You're not clearing rooms like a Marvel character with a ballistic shield. You are basically a terrified adult holding a gun the way a kid holds a flashlight in the dark basement. Every step feels like you're trespassing somewhere you absolutely shouldn't be. And every order you give your team suddenly feels personal because it's 4 people looking to you to get home alive. And one mistake turns a tactical shooter into a psychological horror experience. And the wildest part is the game never even called itself horror. It just lets the silence, the darkness, and your own paranoia do all the work. Ready or Not is one of the few modern shooters that understands something most games forgot years ago. Combat isn't about non-stop action, it's about everything that happens before the action. It's the long, suffocating silence where your breathing sounds too loud inside your helmet. It's the hallway so dark you feel like you are being pulled into it. It's watching your AI team stack up on a door and realizing you care about these 4 digital men more than some games make you care about fully voiced companions with 10-hour questlines. What makes Ready or Not so uniquely immersive isn't that it's realistic, though it tries to be a lot, it's that makes this realism feel emotional. You're not role-playing SWAT officer, you slowly becoming one. Second-guessing angle, checking your corners with almost religious devotion and whispering please don't be behind this door even though you know the game can hear you. It's a game where hesitation is a mechanic, fear is a tool, and the unknown is the main antagonist. But the real magic happens when you realize that the game keeps pulling you deeper into its atmosphere without even raising its voice. Missions like the hospital level doesn't scare you with jump scares or monsters. They scare you by creating a world where your imagination becomes your own enemy. The flickering lights, the echo of something falling in another room, the buzz of all electronics still running after evacuation. It all turns into a perfect pressure cooker where you start seeing shapes that aren't there. The environment feels abandoned but not empty. Something about it suggests that whatever forced everyone out still lingering in the corners just out of the view. And despite the fact that your squad is with you, it doesn't make you feel safer. If anything, having them follow you makes things worse because now you feel responsible. When a suspect turns a corner with a weapon drawn, it's not fear for your character that sparks your heart rate, it's fear for the officer covering your rear. You start issuing commands like you're talking to real people. Hold here, cover me, watch the door, instructions that aren't just button presses, but tiny emotional lifelines to the only things keeping you from totally being alone and hostile, unpredictable plays. There is something deeply human about the way your AI squad behaves. They're not perfect, and that imperfection is what makes them believable. They move with purpose, but not robotic precision. They sometimes hesitate, they reposition, they breathe, they communicate. You start thinking of them less as a tool and more as co-workers in the world's worst office building. You're not just ordering them around because the game demands it, you're doing it because letting go in blind feels almost cruel. And that emotional connection becomes the fuel that ignites the horror atmosphere. Horror works when there's something to lose. In many shooters, dying just means reloading a checkpoint. In Ready or Not, failing feels like you let down an entire team that trusted you. When one of them gets hit, it's a gut punch. You don't see a health bar drip, you watch a teammate collapse. And that moment sticks with you. It's the same kind of attachment strategy that horror games use when they make you care about a character before putting them in danger. Ready or Not does that with a tactical immersion instead of cutscenes. Walking through the hospital mission is one of the clearest examples. It's a building where light and darkness don't simply alternate, they compete. Some rooms glow with unnervingly sterile fluorescence, while others are swallowed by shadows so thick you feel like your flashlight is verily penetrating them. The contrast creates this sense that you're constantly stepping over thresholds between safety and danger, and nothing signals which is which. The haunting emptiness of the building does most of the storytelling. Medical equipment lies untouched, beds are abandoned mid-preparation, hallways feel frozen in time. You can practically feel the panic that must have run through the place before its evacuation. And with every door you open, you wonder whether it's going to reveal a suspect, a civilian, or absolutely nothing. And somehow nothing is often the worst one. Your brain fills the silence with tension. You're bracing yourself so hard for an encounter that the absence of one becomes its own form of psychological attack. You keep expecting to find someone hiding behind a curtain, a crouch beside a bed, and every time you don't, it wings you tighter for the next room. Eventually, the first stops being about what's behind the next door. It becomes, when will something break this silence? And when the silence finally does break, when a suspect sprints down a hallway or you detect movement on the edge of your light, it's not excitement you feel. It's shock. It's that electrical jolt up your spine that reminds you you've been holding your breath for way too long. Ready or Not delivers this feeling not by trying to scare you, but by letting you scare yourself. Even the ways missions are staged contributes to the horror. Objectives are often simple, but the environment complicates everything. Rooms open into other rooms, hallways twist into unexpected shapes, and the map layout always feels slightly hostile. Every location feels like it was designed by someone who wants you to feel unwelcome. Even brightly lit suburban homes somehow feel wrong, as if all the life has been drained out of them, leaving you stuck in a place where something violent recently happened or is still happening. And because the game commits so hard to authenticity, it avoids the usual video game crutches that break immersion. There are no glowing weapons, no magical HUD elements telling you where enemies are, no press X to escape danger prompts. The game simply drops you into a scenario and trusts you deal with it like an actual team would. That trust creates tension. Suddenly you are relying on real tactics, improvising, making judgment calls. And every decision feels heavier because the game quietly whispers, if you mess up, people die. Your squad presence amplifies everything. Their voices echo down hallways, their footsteps sing with yours, and sometimes they unintentionally alarm you simply by existing behind your shoulder. You hear one of them shifting position, and your heart jumps because for a moment your brain forgets they're on your side. It's one of the few shooters where teammates don't fade into a background. They are part of the horror design. They remind you constantly that danger is real and you're not the only one at risk. This makes moments of calm feel precious. When you bridge a room successfully, when you clear a hallway without taking fire, when a suspect surrenders without a fight, those tiny victories feel earned. And you can tell the game knows exactly what it's doing. It gives you these brief, fleeting seconds of control just so you can yank them away again. The moment you open the wrong door or get ambushed from blind spot. Even the animations contribute to this. The act of slowly opening a door becomes a ritual of anxiety. You take a breath, angle yourself, peek through the crack, and hope you don't see a hostile staring back at you. There's something almost cinematic about the way the camera leans, the way your flashlight cuts the darkness, the way shadows move when you don't want them to. It's the closest a tactical shooter has ever come to mirroring the dread of horror games like Amnesia or Outlast, but without any supernatural elements. The monsters here are human, which somehow makes it even worse. And the most interesting part of all this is how incredibly quiet the game is. It doesn't rely on loud music or dramatic stingers. It doesn't shove emotional beats into your face. It simply lets the natural sound design take over. Distant footsteps, the rustle of gears, the metallic click of a magazine, the subdued radio chatter. The ambience does more heavy lifting than most full orchestral soundtracks. You realize this is the first time you hear something fall in another room and every muscle in your body tightens like you hear just a ghost whisper your name. It's its blend of authenticity and psychological tension that makes Ready or Not feel like a horror game without even branding itself as one. The horror comes from vulnerability, from accountability, from the sense that you are entering places where terrible things happen and might still be happening. It's the horror born not from fantasy but reality, and that makes the fear linger longer after you've shut the game down. By the time the mission ends, you're standing outside in the cool, artificial safety of your headquarters. You feel a kind of decompression you often get from shooters. It's the same release of tension you experience after a horror game session. Your hands relax, your shoulders drop, and you realize just how tightly you were gripping the mouse. And as your squad flies out behind you, silent but present, you feel that old attachment again. These aren't just AI teammates, they're the only people who face that nightmare with you. Whether or not you see Ready or Not as a pure tactical shooter or an intentional horror masterpiece, one thing is certain: it's a rare experience. It's a game that understands fear without theatrics and immersion without cliches. A game that earns your attention not by shouting but by whispering into the darkness and daring you to follow the sound. I hope you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching, and see you soon, random internet brother.